Hello everybody, 4-Star here, and we are back with another episode of the UAL, the Ultimate Arena League. This time around, I'm gonna have it a little bit more different this time. We're gonna have a lot of games in store this time. I believe up to like 7 or 8 games, but we're gonna have it super condensed here. Our first matchup is gonna be the Destroyers versus the Cats here in week 6. So before we start the game here, Jimmy Mathis, their star wide receiver, is out for 8 weeks with a broken tailbone. So they replaced him with Greg Hopkins, a free agent acquisition. But Greg Hopkins, it makes an immediate impact here as he bulls his way into the end zone for his first rushing touchdown of the season. But here, deadlocked at 21, Nelson Bullock looking for receiver, rolling all the way to the right here near the coach, but him and the coach get hit in the end zone for a safety. So here's Columbus in prime position to take advantage here, but James Barron knocks the ball loose from Peyton Ayuk, and Minucci takes it all the way back for 6. Later on in this game, Ayuk responds here with a fadeaway touchdown to Vickers. They try to go for 2, but they were unsuccessful, making it a 1-point game. But Cass Cray, Nelson Bullock says, I don't care. I got Corey Michael Jr. on the other end of the end zone for an end zone to end zone touchdown to take the lead. And of course, going for 2 here, Bullock will find Corey Michael Jr. again in the end zone for this time a successful conversion. So with 20 seconds left in this game, Alexander's going to get the ball. He trucks a man, breaks another tackle, and he takes this all the way into the end zone here. But Columbus calls a timeout to try to win this game. 67-60. Here we go. Last play here. He's going to throw it to the net, and Ayuk finds Vickers to get into the end zone here, but they're not done yet. They want to go for 2 here. Ayuk, quick throw, and he finds Hopkins, his new guy, to win this game 68-67. And what a big win here for the Columbus Destroyers. And what a huge win here for Columbus, bouncing themselves back up here to 2-3. Nelson Bullock had a pretty great game, but Peyton Ayuk, 7 touchdowns, 1 INT today, and then 6 of those 7 touchdowns going right to Blake Vickers. What a win here for Columbus. So now we move on to Miami here as the Hooters take on probably one of their biggest threats yet, the Georgia Force here in a divisional matchup here, trying to keep their undefeated record going. So here late in the first quarter, KJ Brown trying to step back here, but he gets absolutely swarmed by that Hooters defense. Ford has nothing but green in front of him, and he would take it back for 6.
Oh yeah, can't stop me. Can't stop me. I got a rhythm. Yeah, baby.
And then the Force just simply couldn't recover after that fumble return for a touchdown play as Jordan Carter ran all over them. He had 4 total touchdowns today, including the 3 you're seeing right now.
Let me tell everyone. Let me get a prepaid. Hello? Leave a message.
And yes, this was short highlights, but this was an absolute rout. Miami took care of business 66-45 against the Force, and Jordan Carter ended up with 66 yards and 4 touchdowns. And for the last of our week 6 matchups here, we have the Islanders coming down to San Jose to take on Mason Mabry and the San Jose SaberCats. So deadlocked at 14 here early in the first quarter, Mabry makes his first mistake of the game, throwing this pick right to Lewis for the INT. And then Blair would give this one right to Bob McMillan, and he would show the shifty moves as he gets into the end zone for a touchdown. And then the young rookie Mabry trying to respond here, but Tim Martin drives his whole shoulder into Mabry here. McMillan would pick that ball right back up. Blair would finish the drive and take a 2-score lead here with a difficult throw here to Newton for a touchdown.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm doing for you. Don't do it again.
But the SaberCats still got some fight left in him. Paulie takes this one at the 2-yard line, and he would take this one 48 yards into the end zone for a kick return for a touchdown. So now only down by 7, the SaberCats fighting back. Joe Jacobs strips the ball, and Richards picks it up, dives into the end zone, and ties the game up. So a few drives later, the Islanders have the ball and the lead. And look at Bob McMillan. What a spin move, and then a truck stick to add on to it. What a run there by Bob McMillan to increase the lead. So now Mabry with 1 minute left, down by 5, throws a difficult pass right to Paulie, but he holds on to it and keeps his foot in for a touchdown. They're going to go for 2 here to make it a square 3-point game, and they get it here, giving it to Ben Nelson. But Lewis getting that Paulie tape early. He saw what Paulie did, so he took the same lane, but this time broke 3 tackles en route to the touchdown there to take the lead.
Yes, mate. Yes, mate.
but Mason Mabry says it gave me too much time. Right, gets the ball. His defender was caught up with the linebackers, so all he sees is green with a big touchdown there.
Yeah, you know I did it. Let me get a prepaid. Hello? Leave a message.
And the SaberCats outlast the Islanders 66-63. Mason Mabry having a day here. 7 touchdowns, 317 yards, and 4 of those touchdowns going right to Charles Pauley. So let's get right into the rest of week 6 action here. And of course, for week 6, the Firebirds take care of business against the Voodoo 49-20. They go 0-5 in the last 5 games here. And then of course, Toronto taking on Orlando here in Toronto. They win that one 78-50 with Jasko Ortiz scoring 10 touchdowns in the game. Is he sim goat or what? But yeah, the Soul take care of the Desert Hawks 57-49. The Kiss upset the Wolfpack in their house 58-43. The Outlaws, ever since getting blown out by the Wolfpack, they have been on the roll 41-34 in that game. And then the final game here, Detroit outlasting Salina 62-55. Skaggs threw 2 INTs en route to a loss. So let's get right into week 7. For the start of week 7, we are back in San Jose to see the SaberCats take on the still undefeated Miami Hooters. Let's get right into it. So we start off our first clip with San Jose's first drive of the game here as Mabry throws a dot right to Butler, who plays for the other team. And then after the interception, Doug Kelly doing what he does best, and that is finishing the drive, scoring a touchdown right there to Simpson. So the Hooters feeling risky, going for it on 4th down before halftime here. Kelly rolling off to the right, throws it, but it gets tipped away for a turnover on downs. So that turnover and down before halftime looks like it was a momentum shifter here as Mabry throws a dot right to Ben Nelson. So both teams are trading blows here in the 4th. Mabry here on his possession throws a dot right to Simpson for his 2nd INT of the game. And then of course you already know what Jordan Carter does. Runs it in the end zone for a touchdown. Make it a pair as he runs this one right before the end of the game.
I can't stop it. I feel good.
So the Hooters end up winning this game 48-34. It was not even a contest after the 2nd INT. And then look at this record. Jordan Carter with the most rushing yards in one game, 135 yards to cap off this amazing day. And here for our final week 7 matchup, we see ourselves here in Orlando where the Predators have to take on a hot Billings Outlaws team. So as you can see here, Billion having no trouble with these guys. Given breaks a tackle, but he gets wrecked there by 91. But somehow Patton comes up with the ball and he returns it all the way for a score. And Leslie Holt and Jay Graham didn't have no problems here, as not only did he bomb him once, he got him twice. And let's make it a 3rd time as they win this game 63-31, having no problems with the Predators, and they won their 5th straight game of the season. So for the rest of week 7 here, the Soul cruise on to the 3rd straight win here as they beat the Destroyers 54-30. The Firebirds right now just barely squeaking out a win against the Desert Hawks 32-31 off a game-winning field goal. The Storm take care of the Rampage 49-22. The Phantoms take care of the Fury 52-43. And the Kiss with an upset win 48-34. That's their 2nd straight win. But it doesn't look good for them as Kawika Green, one of our player submissions, is out with a broken wrist here. So hopefully we get to see some of Zorio Ward and his replacement to BD Davis here next in week 8. So here we are back in Miami for the 2nd time to see the 3rd appearance of the Miami Hooters, who are still undefeated right now. Jordan Carter, Doug Kelly, and they're looking to add another win to the list in the Toronto Phantoms. So we start off here late in the 2nd quarter where Ortiz trying to respond, but he throws a direct INT to Simpson. And right before halftime, the Hooters were able to get away with a field goal to take a 10-point lead.
End of the first half, the score.
Toronto get risky here on this 4th down. Ortiz gets rushed and it will be tipped away for a turnover on downs. And that would lead to the Jordan Carter show. Rushing touchdowns galore. You already know what it means here in this episode. But Ortiz connects to Hammer Jr. for this long-range touchdown score to keep themselves in the game. So the Phantoms are oddly going to go for 2 here to just be down by 16, but the toss play leads to a failed conversion. And then on this next drive, it feels like a nail in a coffin. Gary Kelly throws this one right to Don Robbie Smith for an end zone touchdown.
Move to the left, right. Ooh, I'm too quick, man. Sit down.
But the offense of Miami just too strong for the boys up north. Jordan Carter getting a nice little sneaky touchdown there. And then Gary Kelly would find Butler here for a touchdown near the end of the game.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. How you like that move?
And that would be it for this game. Miami taking care of business once again against the Phantoms. Gary Kelly with 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. And of course, Jordan Carter with 3 touchdowns of his own. Back here in Georgia for week number 8 here, where the Force trying to rebound after an upset loss to the Kiss, here to take on Chris Dell and the Washington Wolfpack. So guys, this was all Georgia with the KJ Brown show, and he started off with a rushing touchdown to start us off, and then a couple drives later bombing it right to Troy Bergeron, and Stills had a hard time with him because Bergeron would do it again. Another bomb touchdown in the top right corner of the end zone, and Bergeron wasn't done yet. Bergeron getting on that nice little post route and that little in route, and then scores again. Stills was getting absolutely charred today. But here comes Brown again. Another bomb touchdown to Bergeron. That's 4. But KJ wasn't done yet. He wanted another rushing touchdown in his belt, and he got it, taking this one all the way into the end zone.
Yeah, baby, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
And it was just another day at the office for the Georgia Force. KJ Brown with another rushing touchdown, make it 3, and they win this one. They coast to victory 73-42 against the highly touted Wolfpack here. And it was just a difficult game for them all around, as KJ Brown ended up with a 10 touchdown game here today, 6 passing touchdowns with 4 rushing touchdowns to advance to 3-3 on the season. So the Kids head on down to Salina, Kansas to have a matchup with the Liberty. It's going to be an odd one here playing without Kawika Green, but they did add to BD Davis to their roster, and let's see what Zuriel Ward could do with that. So after forcing Salina to just 3 points, Ward gets to work and he throws a touchdown right to Roble. Now down by 11 at home, James Skaggs needs to make a play, and he finds Kashawn Davis all the way into the end zone for a 45-yard score. The Liberty get a break here. Zuriel Ward floats this ball too high, and it gets tipped right into an interception there by Woodson before halftime. And James Skaggs and Salina would take the lead here as he finds Nelson for a wide open score. So the score tied at 41 late in the 4th quarter. Skaggs needs to make a play. He tries to get the curl route, but McClain jumps in front of it for an INT. So Zuriel Ward and the guys want to get out of here with a win, and they try to run the ball, but it gets absolutely blown up, which turns out for Zuriel Ward in the worst way. He dislocated his elbow, and they say he's going to be out for 8 weeks. Unbelievable, and a huge loss there. But here comes Scott Woods, and Woods finds the newly acquired to BD Davis for a touchdown.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Let me hit. Come on, yeah. Breathe out.
So the Kiss win this thriller 48-41, but it turns out really bad. At what cost? Zuriel Ward is out for 8 weeks. He ended up with 3 touchdowns. Roderick McClain ended up with 10 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, but you got to feel that loss here today with Kawika Green already being out and now Zuriel Ward being out. So let's get into our last matchup of the day here. The Firebirds taking on the Soul. So far, our last matchup here for week 8, the Albany Firebirds are home to take on the Philadelphia Soul in this Eastern Division matchup. The Firebirds are still undefeated at 6-0, but the Soul have won the 3 of their last 3 games. Let's see what goes down here coming up next. So here on the very first drive, Damian Keys looking for somebody for the end zone, but he finds Chris Lopez, who climbed the ladder for that INT. So Philly's going to go for it here on 4th down by 4 here. They're going to give it to Wes Alves, but he meets up with Cal Keone for a turnover on downs.
What? Come on, people. Unbelievable. Jeez.
So after the turnover, Damian Keys gets right to work here as he throws a dot right to Mentor for a score. And Potsy said, don't count us out just yet. A screenplay to Missouri. Gets a juke move, breaks some tackles, and there he goes. Big number 95 in the end zone for a big touchdown.
Oh yeah, how you like me now? Yeah, and slide to the right.
And the Soul weren't done yet with the crazy plays. Potsy, it looks like it's almost picked off there by Little, but somehow Smith comes up with the ball and he takes it there for 6. Let's take another look at this one. Potsy throws it right to Little. Little can't hold on to it. And then here comes Steve Smith to save the day, grabbing that one out of the air and taking it back for 6. But the Firebirds are just too hard to bring down here as they still remain with the 3-point lead, and then Minter getting this bomb touchdown. And then after the failed onside kick, Calciani would finish this drive by running a man over and getting hit over the boards for a touchdown. That would end the game 59-56, and the Firebirds escape with another close victory here. And of course, the man of the hour being David Minter. He caught everything, and that was almost for a touchdown every single time. 6 receptions, 151 yards with 5 touchdowns. So let's get into the rest of week 8 and the stats. So for the rest of the games for week 8 here, the Voodoo lose another one. That is 6 straight losses in a row here as they lose to the Orlando Predators 62-48. And as you can see, the Predators had their way in the second half. The SaberCats edge out the Rampage here 62-58. The Rampage have not been doing so well so far, but what can you say? The Storm beating out the Islanders 48-45, and the Islanders just can't buy a win if they tried. The Fury go into overtime and beat the Nashville Cats. Now they had to fight their way back. It looks like Nashville had to fight their way back as well, scoring 14 points but in the fourth quarter, but it looks like Detroit ended up with the ball last and they kicked the game-winning field goal. And then of course you got the Desert Hawks and the Destroyers. The Destroyers just barely beat the Desert Hawks 38-31. Peyton Ayuk getting another W in that column here, and now it's 3-4, still hanging on. So going into the standings here, the Outlaw and the Storm and the SaberCats, almost said Firecats, shout out Florida Firecats, 5 wins this season. The Storm 5-2, SaberCats 5-2, but the Outlaws are 5-1 after starting off 0-1 and getting blown out by the Wolfpack here. They've won 5 straight. Leslie Holt has really steered that ship here for the Outlaws. For the 4-win teams, we got the Wolfpack 4-3. They started out 4-0, and now they have just ended up losing 3 straight. As you can see, lost 3 straight here. The Storm have won 3 straight as well, though. Shout out to the Storm and Jackson out there. The Fury have won, and they are 4-3, and they are keeping themselves alive here. The Nashville Cats are 3-4, the Kiss are 3-4, and the Liberty sit at 2-5, with the Islanders and Rampage both at 1-6 this season. For the National Conference, one of the most competitive conferences yet, and still one of the most competitive conferences in between both my series. The Miami Hooters and the Firebirds are now 7-0. The Phantoms are 4-3. The Force are also 4-3, with no win streak in sight. But the Predators have won their last game and they're 3-4. The Soul are 3-4. The Destroyers are 3-4, and the 1-6 teams are the Desert Hawks and Voodoo, who have both lost 5 and 6 straight. So yeah, they got to get it together. Getting right into the stats here, the most yards is Kaylin Blair with 2,110 yards with 39 touchdowns and 5 picks. The most touchdowns here is Joshua Ortiz by 1 touchdown. Right behind him is Potsy with 44 to his 45. 123 ratings. Geez, sorry guys, but Gary Kelly, the best rating. And not only just the best rating, look to your right, guys. He has no INTs so far with 32 touchdowns under his belt. He's actually going crazy. Does he have the numbers for MVP? I mean, those 0 INTs say a lot, but he hasn't been able to pass the ball as frequent as the other quarterbacks because of the fact that he has this guy right here, Jordan Carter, 381 yards and 18 of those big touchdowns here, and that's why they are undefeated so far. KJ Brown right behind him, 259 yards and 13 touchdowns, and then right behind him is Savion Williams with 150 yards, and then we finally get to another running back who only has 133 yards, and Marlon Moye Moore. So this is incredible what this caliber season Jordan Carter is having right now. For receiving, Bob Mager has 58 receptions here. He's the league leader in receptions. And then the most yards is tied between Travis Hammer Jr. and Troy Bergeron, both 929 yards. As you can see here, they have the same amount of yards per game. That's because they had the same amount of yards, the exact same amount of yards, and basically the same amount of receptions with 49 and 50. The big difference here is the touchdowns. Travis Hammer Jr. has 2 more than Troy Bergeron, but both of them are on a burner season in this half of the season right here. For the defensive stats here, Phil Glover has 54 tackles. He leads the league in that. Leading the league in tackles for loss is Chad Webster here. And of course with the sacks as well, but he's right behind Jerry Turner, who got an extra sack in the last game. Anthony Hines has the most INTs here with 6, which is incredible because they've lost 6 straight, but he's still been a dog here this season. The most pass deflections is Kashawn Davis, but right behind him is Chris Lopez here, very sneakily becoming one of the better defenders in the league, even though he's a primary receiver. Most forced fumbles is D. Crosby and Gary Wiley, and the most return touchdowns is Gerard Simpson with 2 INT returns for touchdowns, and this is why the Hooters are undefeated. So guys, I hope you guys like the new format. We put a lot of games in and condensed them really well. I tried to make it kind of like Sports Center-ish, where I tell you guys some of the information about around the league and the injury reports as well. But hopefully you guys will respond in the comments if you guys like it or not. But if you do really like it, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.